Hey guys, I know it's been a little while since I did a VOD review. I don't know, I just kind of stopped doing these, but I'm going to try and get back into the habit of doing them. So today we're going to be covering map 3 between Lunatic-Hai and Kongdoo Panthera from, I guess at this point it was yesterday's, excuse me, it was yesterday's series, it was the opening series of Apex. It was a really good series. If you guys haven't seen the whole thing, you might not want to watch because this is kind of a spoiler. But Kongdoo Panthera ended up losing to Lunatic-Hai 2-3, and it was really close because the first two maps went Kongdoo Panthera's way fairly convincingly. They like totally crushed King of the Hill. I think it was Ilios, yeah. And then the second map was Eichenwald, and they like absolutely crushed Eichenwald as well. Well, not absolutely, but they matched Lunatic-Hai with time to spare. So then this was a really like a do or die map for Lunatic-Hai. And with the new rules in place for Apex, Lunatic-Hai could have chosen to go to Temple of Anubis, but they actually didn't. That would be kind of my initial guess when I think about Lunatic-Hai. Because when I think about Lunatic-Hai on 2CP maps, I think about like Miro on Temple of Anubis, like just going crazy on Point A, and Ryujehong just like up on the high ground that they boost him up to, just doing stuff. But they chose Volskaya. They have been really good in Volskaya lately, and this map as well shows it. And I just think that in this map, there's a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. So I wanted to cover this one. Hopefully that's a little... Oh, shoot. This is the Korean caster, so you can hear them in the background. Because unfortunately, the English version is not up yet, and doing VOD reviews on Twitch VODs always sucks when you have to pause, because you get that weird kind of pause arrow in the middle of the screen. So, Lunatic-Hai started on offense and Kongdoo Panthera was defending. So one of the big points to take from Kongdoo Panthera's defense was, we can see it now, and he does stay on it, Rascal is playing Sombra. And there's a couple things that make that not surprising. One, Rascal has played Sombra before, and he has been excellent on the Sombra before. His one King's Row map was the one that everyone thinks of. And two, is the defensive Sombra's been making a comeback. She was played on Volskaya by Kongdoo Panthera, and in the series after this, Africa Blue played her as well. And during the Apex promotion tournament, Twilight on Combox was playing defensive Sombra on 2CP as well. So it's coming back in Korea, kind of with a vengeance, and it's been putting up really, really good performances. So, you know, Rascal is a good player, why not, right? But the one interesting thing is that for Kongdoo Panthera, it's actually being played from the DPS position, right? They still have Ana and Lucio. And a lot of the time when we're seeing defensive Sombra, she's replacing the Ana on defense, because on offense these days it's pretty much always Zenyatta. And the reason why she's replacing Ana is because she does give so much of that healing, of course, with health packs. She hacks them. You get a large health pack every, I think it's 3.75 seconds. So even if you're not picking it up right away, say like 4 seconds, but if you're fighting around it, every 4 seconds, and it's like 200 plus health, it's basically the same potential healing output as Mercy Beam, except the fact that the Sombra can have multiple health packs hacked, including large and small ones. So the Sombra can provide, in theory, significantly more healing than Mercy, but she also brings damage, and she brings, crazy utility with her mobility and invisibility and her hacking and stuff. So she's a really good, powerful option, but you can't really, it's not that you can't play her on offense, but it's much easier to play her on defense. And the reason why is quite literally, you just get to set up. You can hack packs easier because you get to sit there and choose when you hack them, right as the round starts, as well as you're defending one point, so you can have your team work around your hacked health packs. You can like choose one area, right? Say, we're going to fight around this large health pack because we have so much free healing off of it. But the problem is that Sombra doesn't do as much damage as a DPS character, as a normal one, especially when you compare her to something like a Soldier 76, which in this composition, probably would happen, especially on Volskaya Point A defense. Soldier's really good. So you don't have that. So you have a little bit less damage, so you need to make up for it somewhere else. And we don't really see anything else that's super high damage, to make up for it. I mean, yeah, Lucio does a little bit more damage on this patch, but realistically, this is going to be a little bit lower damage composition. But it's kind of okay, because we see Lunatic-Hai is going for triple DPS. So you're not really needing to break through any major tanks. And that's kind of okay. And that's something that Kongdoo Panthera would know, because Lunatic-Hai played it a couple of times in the Apex Grand Finals, and I'm sure in scrims lately they've been playing it, because as we saw last night in both series, triple DPS is really starting to take hold in Korea. So one of the cool things that Lunatic-Hai does is they start with Eska on Widowmaker instead of Tracer, which is kind of the standard in these triple DPS comps. And I am personally a really big fan of making your first attack with Widowmaker, because there's just that chance that Widowmaker just hits a headshot, right? Picks off the enemy Ana, Lucio, maybe even Tracer or Genji, right? But there's a chance that Widowmaker just gives you an opening, and you can just kind of win off that. You can just kind of take that first point like right away, and it doesn't cost you all that much, especially on your first attack where you have 4 minutes or something on these two CP maps. It's not really a problem. So I like the fact that they start with Eska on Widowmaker. Besides that, this is all very standard. These four, Miro, Ryu Jihong, Toby, and Who Are You, these are very standard picks for all of them. For Zunba, this is kind of new, playing Soldier, and this is one area where when we compare Lunatic-Hai to like Rogue, because Rogue is the one in everybody's mind when it thinks of triple DPS. You should be thinking E United as well, but anyways, and when we compare Zunba and AKM, specifically on Soldier 76, it's not really a competition. AKM's definitely better, but Zunba is surprisingly good on it. Apparently on stream he plays a lot of DPS heroes, and to be completely fair, it's a similar skill set with Soldier's primary fire and Zarya's primary fire. It's just tracking. You're not trying to flick to heads. You're just tracking where people are. So I can kind of see that it works all right. He's definitely not amazing, but he's definitely serviceable. His job is just to throw in damage anyways, and Miro and Who Are You create so much pressure that in theory Zunba doesn't get that much pressure on himself. Okay, so Kongdoo Panthera, you can see, is not contesting the choke point like some teams do because they don't have a Reinhardt, and Rascal of course has the health pack in this room here by the point hacked. That's the one you want to hack first if you are playing Sombra on Volskaya, because it's is it the only large health pack in the area? I think it is. I think the other three, there's one in this building. No, there's one in the building right here, there's one in the building over here, and one like in the corner. There's 3 small health packs and the one large one, but you want to hack the large health pack because it heals the most. Oh, you can hear somebody getting arrested outside or pulled over. And as we see, Rascal picked up the health pack, healed himself a little bit. He's already at 41%. We're 17 seconds into the round, so he's gonna have his ultimate very quickly, and he's just gonna run around, hack the other health packs so people have stuff to heal off of, and just continue harassing people generally. So this is pretty standard. D.Va and Winston are contesting the high ground. Rascal can as well, backs out with Translocator, gets his health up. So this is all just kind of, they're just trading damage around. Did Rascal? I don't even think he got that hack off. So, standard stuff. Widowmaker is definitely not working out. Unfortunately, it's not really a surprise. Eska is not the most amazing DPS player in the world. So now what we need to see Lunatic-Hai do is switch, because your Widowmaker Gambit did not work out, so you got to get off it. And we see Eska does go to Tracer, and that's the standard pick for Eska as well as for this composition. I have no problems with that. The one thing is they still don't really have an answer for Sombra. And unfortunately when she has EMP there really isn't one, unless Miro can hit her with Tesla gun and reveal her and they can kill her. But basically when you're playing against Sombra and you lose that first push, the second fight you always have to assume she has ultimate ready, because she will, because Sombras can charge ultimate in well under a minute. Did I skip too far forward? Somewhere around there. Alright. But because Sombra charges so quickly, when you come in for the second push, you always know she's going to have ult. So what you need to do is, Lunatic-Hai, as we see, doesn't have any ultimates right now. And that's okay, but because even if they did, they need to not waste them, because they know that they're just going to get beaten up by EMP. So EMP is down now, and they immediately lose a couple kills because they can't use abilities to really defend themselves. So now, Lunatic-Hai can go, okay, we know EMP's down. If we get back quickly, you can't, sit there and trade damage for a while. You have to fight immediately. You can be ready, and they won't have EMP up quite yet. So this is the chance for Lunatic-Hai to take a relatively even fight. It's 2-3, but Zumba's about to have ultimate. But critically, we see here, the ultimates for Lunatic-Hai are kind of like higher impact. Because we have Dragon Blade, which we've seen Who Are You can do some pretty crazy things with Dragon Blade. Sound Barrier, and there's no Sound Barrier for Panthera, and there's no EMP to clear the Sound Barrier. So that's going to be really powerful, as well as there's going to be Attack Visor. On the flip side, this is what Birdring's doing, because Birdring knows that they don't really have, the same power of ultimates, because Pulse Bomb, at best, realistically, you're only shooting to get 1 kill with it. I know you can get, 2, 3, whatever kills, but it's less common, especially without Graviton Surge. So he's looking for 1 pick, because 1 pick is all they need to then be able to take the fight. Self-destruct from Void is, if you get kills with it, it's like because people messed up, or because like you hit a sick Earth Shatter, right? Like the old Envy with Coco and Mickey combos. And then Fissure's ultimate is basically for stalling the point. It's not, this high impact, get a ton of kills ultimate. Whereas Lunatic-Hai has 2 of those as well as a defensive ult. So Kongdoo Panthera needs to find a way to kind of equalize the advantage. And luckily for them, Birdring got in behind everybody. Does he get... I don't remember if he gets a kill here. Alright, but they get on them preemptively, we see, right? They have the tanks in the front, they have the Tracer behind them, and they're able to get these preemptive kills. And they do have to use the Primal Rage. I don't know if Fissure... Wait, did Fissure actually need to use that? Oh, yeah, Fissure was about to die. So he ults, and that's fine. They use 1 ultimate, right, from Fissure, and they win the fight and push Lunatic-Hai back. And that's pretty good. But now Lunatic-Hai, as we see, is gonna have all 6 ultimates. So this is a chance where if you're Lunatic-Hai, you also know that Rascal died very early in that fight. I'm pretty sure Who Are You killed him. So you still don't think Rascal has EMP yet. Because he did die so early, he wasn't keeping health packs up that whole time. Oh, wow. And the fact here that Void gets picked... I actually don't remember. How does Void not get healed here? Because obviously he gets Discord Orbed to die that quickly. Wow. He just didn't get healed, it looks like. So he got picked up really... And that's really unfortunate for them. So, Lunatic-Hai, they kind of come in. They press Q. The early picks is just so impossible to come back from. Especially since you use your stalling ult. You use Primal Rage in the previous fight. Yeah, they crushed that. So... But as we see there, it's a good example of what I mean, where Zunba's soldier is not, like, absolutely insane. Like, he hits Attack Visor, obviously, and then, hits 1 set of rockets. He's not AKM. He's definitely not. He just doesn't have the tracking of AKM, but he's perfectly serviceable. I think Zunba will fit well enough to make Lunatic-Hai still able to win, as we'll keep seeing. But now, so this is on point B, is where you start thinking about maybe switching off Sombra, I think. And the reason why is because one of the things that Sombra does best is essentially just stalling, right? She can throw her translocator down, on a health pack, right, that she has hacked, run forward while invisible, which she's invisible for a very long time, and she runs very quickly, and you have like 15 seconds on your translocator. Get into the enemy backline, harass some people, force them to deal with you, and once they do turn to deal with you, just blink out. And get back to safety, heal up any damage you took, and charge your ultimate in the process. And that act might only stall them maybe 3 or 4, 5 seconds, right? And that might not sound like a lot, but if you do that, right, like 2 or 3 times, that's 15 seconds all of a sudden. And then because you've done that and you've been healing people with health packs, you get ultimate. And your ultimate wins you a team fight almost guaranteed as long as your team coordinates around it, right? When you EMP, they come in and fight because you have a massive advantage. And then there's another 45 seconds. So you do that, all of a sudden you've cut a minute off their time. And that's really good for defending the first point, because as long as you can trade kind of even in that first team fight, the initial engagement, you can just like cut a minute off by just being Sombra. As we saw, Rascal did here. They won a very definitive team fight with EMP against Lunatic-Hai. But the problem is she doesn't actually contribute much to a fight besides EMP, just unfortunately. Once EMP is down, she's a much weaker character. She's one of those heroes who derives like a massive amount of her kit's power from her ultimate, whereas somebody like Widowmaker or Diva, their ultimates are definitely not the most powerful part of their kits. So if Lunatic-Hai basically attacks and Rascal doesn't have EMP, they have a character who's almost kind of dead weight, right? They have somebody who's just going to be less useful, and especially on the second point where you're not worried about you're not worried about just stalling anymore. You're worried about like just not letting them cap anymore. It might be better to actually go to like Mei or something, or even Soldier, something that gives you more offensive power to clear the point with. But I do believe Rascal stays on it. I mean, he is now. So I think there's an argument to be made to switch off of Sombra now, though. Although now he has EMP, so obviously you stay on it. But we see here, how does Eska even get in there? Oh, that's right. Wait, Eska was going for the flank, right? He was trying to, yeah. So Eska walks around the side, and I do believe it's only Tracer who can walk around there. So he walks around the side, gets up on the supports, and he gets the Pulse Bomb down, which is a big deal. And at the same time, Who Are You somehow kills Birdring. What do I want to give for actual replays? EMP goes down, but we see that. Do you see that? Wait, here it is. Pulse Bomb. You'll see the bright purple flash. There. EMP goes down, but as you see, it didn't even hit Eska. So Eska is able to keep harassing people, you know, keep fighting, because Tracer without her blinks basically just dies. As we see there, when she gets hacked, pops. So, but Lunatic-Hai is fighting pretty convincingly now. They got that 2 kills to start the fight, right? I love this part. Who are you? Like looking for Sombra. He's like throwing shurikens randomly. But they get the pick off, which is very unfortunate for Panthera. You know, it's one of the things that has happened in this meta where you don't have Zarya. It's really easy to pick players off because unless D.Va is next to them, they don't have as much protection as people are kind of used to with Zarya. And Zarya was like literally not played in Apex, at least on day 1. I think she was actually played like twice. So Lunatic-Hai gets 1 tick, you know, 49%. They don't win, but they get, you know, they get some progress done on the point. So Rascal now has another EMP charged up, so fine, stay on the Sombra. EMP is really good. And Lunatic-Hai does have 4 ultimates again. So they have 2 defensive ultimates. They have Pulse Bomb, which is like, again, at best you can count on maybe a kill. And they have Tac Visor. I mean, of course, D.Va can always try and block Tac Visor. But then there's just these 2 for Kongdoo Panthera. But that's kind of okay, because if Rascal can get in there preemptively, when, say, Lunatic-Hai is maybe in this area, right, approaching, or up on this platform, or maybe on these platforms on the side, Rascal gets in there and throws EMP down, none of this matters. None of these ultimates matter anymore, and Kongdoo Panthera can just win with basic skills that Lunatic-Hai doesn't even have access to. So this fight is definitely, like, still winnable for Panthera, even though they're down so many ults, because of how valuable EMP is. Because EMP literally just turns off everything from your opponents. Birdring going on a secret mission here. Oh, Miro saw him. Ooh, boy. If he gets killed here, that's really bad. Oh, he doesn't even take the health pack. Interesting. Alright, so Panthera, actually, this time... Oh, there goes EMP. And see, but you see that? How good that was? Oh, I love this. Watch. EMP! Instantly Winston in your face. Because what are you going to do? how are you going to deal with the Winston when you can't use any of your abilities? And they get 1 kill on Rouge Hong. That's all they got. But that's really all they need because it forces Lunatic-Hai back. So, worked out. And now, once again, Rascal does not have EMP. But because he has health packs hacked and they picked him up, he's already at 40% again. Which is kind of nuts. Gonna get in there and harass. Yeah. And you can't stick around like that. Once you have Discord Orb on you, like he did, you gotta get out. But do you see how far that was? Right? He's all the way outside of the point. Completely outside. And he could have run further. He had another 7 seconds to run. And he gets all the way back behind the point. It's nuts how far the Sombra can go out to harass you. It gives her so much more leeway than somebody like Tracer, for example. So, this is actually something I'm going to point this out. That Lunatic-Hai started doing, I don't remember if they were doing it during the Grand Finals or during last season of Apex, but they open with Transcendence, right? And they've been doing this a lot when Who Are You has his Dragon Blade at like 75+%. Basically, he's getting close-ish, but he doesn't actually have Dragon Blade yet. And what they do is they do this because Ryu Jihong then hangs out around Who Are You. Oh, that's not Who Are You, that's Toby. But basically just keeps him alive, right? Permanently with with the just crazy amount of healing Transcendence gives, and Who Are You just does damage, and he builds up his Dragon Blade. So Who Are You now has Dragon Blade ready, and the theory is that these players don't get picked off and die, and that Who Are You then has Dragon Blade and can continue the fight. Because when you engage the fight, you hope that Panthera maybe uses an ultimate or something, and then now Who Are You doesn't have to worry about that and can kind of keep doing his work. So it is really it shows that Lunatic-Hai was playing around Who Are You. I mean, for sure. And they weren't doing it in the first couple of maps of the series, which I think definitely hurt them. And now they were, so it worked out better. Because they ended up winning. Anyways, so he used Dragon Blade. Oh my god. How did I not even notice? Oh no, yeah, he tried to use the Dragon Blade. He got like Luffy off it, right? But it still wasn't enough. They weren't able to finish that fight. So Lunatic-Hai at this point has been attacking for like 4 minutes already, and they've just coming back with the same composition, and they're attacking into the same composition. So you have to think, Panthera is sitting here like, well, this is working for us. So I understand why they're not making any changes. But Lunatic-Hai, at a certain point, I feel like you need to start thinking, okay, what change do we make? But it's also a very difficult question, because what change do you make? Generally, one of the changes that we see like Rogue doing often is they'll throw Nico onto D.Va. But that's not going to happen for Lunatic-Hai because Who Are You does not play D.Va. But Zumba does play D.Va. So do you put Zumba back on D.Va? Just go to, a 3x2 comp? But then the question is, who are you throwing the D.Va at? Because they don't have like a Soldier 76 that you can throw the D.Va at to block that damage. D.Va's less effective at protecting players from dive against Sombra and like Winston, because you literally just cannot figure out where the Sombra's coming from, as well as EMP or hack turns off defense matrix, and D.Va can't block Winston damage anyways. So it is kind of this tricky question of, do we just keep trying and hope that we can outskill them, or just happen to have a better team fight? But when stuff like that like this EMP is so good, it comes in from behind, hits like basically everybody, and they get a. Oh, wow. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this fight. So, that's right. They get in with the EMP, and this is an example of where the team was not quite ready, right? EMP goes down, but we see, look how low Void was, right? Void can't really charge in right now, and Fissure doesn't immediately go flying in on the Winston. Lunatic-Hai actually gets to back off quite a ways. Like, the Winston's just now on the front line. So they end up getting a couple people picked off, actually. And Lunatic-Hai does the proper thing. They immediately turn around and head back in. And they go for the fight. They come back and help Zumba with the Winston, but they keep pushing. Man, they got 2 kills to 1. They should have done something more. Burn goes to the pick, doesn't get it, naturally. I feel like Tracer players have got worse with their pulse bombs lately. I don't know why. Roscoe doesn't have a health pack there. He's trying to go for the hack. He got that off a mirror. That's nice. Zumba's just, doing damage. They have a nano boosted Winston, which you always have to deal with a nano boosted Winston, because you're not going to kill him 1v1, because you have to do 1,000 damage to him, because with the damage reduction, and he puts out like 90 DPS on each target he's zapping. So you can just have him putting out like 180 DPS and just be like this crazy tank in your backline. So you see they send 4 players to kill him, pick him off. Fissure is dead. Toby dies. And this was another issue that Lunatic-Hai had this whole series, was that they were getting picked off more, like a lot more. I don't know if... I'd have to go back and watch more carefully and think about if Panthera was punishing harder than previous opponents, or if Lunatic-Hai was being sloppier. My gut tells me they were being sloppier, though. Because the hack on Soldier, so he can't heal. EMP to hit everybody else. But he doesn't hit Who Are You, so Who Are You can Dragon Blade and dash around. Just kills Luffy, though. Doesn't matter too much. Wow, Who Are You drew so much attention, though. They just killed off all the other divers. Missed Pulse Bomb. And this is the point where Rascal doesn't do anything on this Sombra. Right? He's trying to blink around a little bit and, like, harass people, but he doesn't do anything. And he's very squishy. So when he does have to inevitably, defend on the point, he just gets picked off. So especially in this situation, Rascal just needs to be Mei. Like, he just needs to be Mei. Or Birdring. Somebody needs to be Mei. I mean, Rascal is, like, telling himself, yeah, I have 50% ult charge, maybe I can build one. But at this point, you're not going to be able to hack health packs and have your teammates go pick them up. You're just not going to be able to. You have to always be on the point now. So, I would like to see Mei, but... Oh my god. I forgot I needed to mention this one. So Ryu Ji-hong is on Ana, right? And we can see here they're still fighting. I rewinded a bit. Now Ryu Ji-hong comes back on his own Sombra. And this has been something that teams have been doing a lot on second point, where your support players will switch from whatever they're playing, Ana, Zenyatta, Lucio, and generally they actually pick up Soldier because they can get back to the point very quickly by, you know, sprinting, and they have the biotic field to at least, you know, help bring some healing, but they also bring a lot more damage to help clear the point with, so you can actually win these 2CP, you know, kind of overtime scenarios. But Ryu Ji-hong actually comes back on a Sombra of his own. And it's a similar idea where Sombra is incredibly fast with throwing Translocator ahead, teleporting to it, and then sprinting while invisible. She can get back to the point very quickly. As we see, Ryu Ji-hong's back not much longer. And the ability that he can get, and he hacks the Winston, so the Winston can't use jump or bubble. And Winston that can't use jump or bubble is actually pretty squishy, realistically. And especially when he's not being healed because, you know, his supports are being picked off. Rascal tries to stall, but Summer doesn't do anything and dies. So it doesn't matter that much that Ryu Ji-hong went onto the Sombra. He only got like the one hack off, but it's just kind of cool because it lets him get back to point B quicker, as well as, you know, it does provide some extra utility specific to those overtime scenarios. So Lunatic-Hai manages to, in overtime, capture both points, which is like cool. So Panthera now has to capture both points. PC issue. Jesus, wow. They must have actually swapped out the computers. Alright, go back a sec. Alright, cool. So Lunatic-Hai is now defending, and as we see, they are opting for a 2-2-2 composition instead of the triple DPS. And they've reverted Zumba back to D.Va, which is a much better pick for him. Zumba's D.Va is absolutely fantastic. And Ryu Ji-hong, because they're on defense, is on Ana now, not Zenyatta, and Eska off Tracer on Soldier. Huryu and Toby are one tricks. Now Panthera is actually not attacking with triple DPS. They are attacking with another 2x2, or 3x2, sorry. And they're also doing the same thing that Lunatic-Hai did, which I still like. And Birdring is playing Widowmaker to start. And I don't remember if they do or not, but I sure hope it's just for the first attack again. And he's just gonna sit here. And now they see the Widowmaker, right? And immediately they just all hide. Because if you give Widowmaker that pick, it's almost guaranteed you're going to lose. You're going to drop the first point to them. So they back off, stay hidden. You know, you don't really want to contest her too much without support. The only time you can test that Widowmaker is if you have this D.Va standing next to you who can drop her defense matrix in front of you so you don't get instantly one-shot. Or you literally just throw D.Va at the Widowmaker, which is definitely a possibility. The only issue with throwing Zumba at Birdring is that then Ryu Ji-hong has less protection in the backline, and so does Eska in the backline from, you know, like people like Rascal diving him, and even, you know, the damage coming in from Luffy, which is definitely significant on the Zenyatta. That's a little bit alleviated with like how powerful Boop is these days from Lucio, but Toby's also not the kind of Lucio who just like sits and babysits anybody. He's pretty proactive on his own. But anyways, Kongdoo Panthera goes around through the high ground because you're trying to find angles for Birdring, right? Birdring was coming up around the way we see here, right? He's trying to find angles, and while he was doing this and they're distracted with him, we see Kongdoo Panthera went under the bridge all the way around to take the high ground. Lunatic-Hai moves out of the way. They don't really contest them. They take the refuge behind that corner there. And this whole time, because they left Birdring alone, poor Birdring, poor guy, trying to work all by himself, we see Zumba kills him over here, and I believe, yeah, Who Are You is with him. And that's what you do. When the enemy has a Widowmaker, and it's in a situation like that where they leave them alone, whether it be on Temple of Anubis, whether it be on, you know, what's another map people run? not King's Row. King's Row is too tight. But like on Temple of Anubis, where they put the Widowmaker on top of the main arch, or here what they did with Birdring, and they're isolated, you always put the Diva on them because Diva can block them from shooting anybody, and then you send someone to actually kill them because the Diva's not really going to sit there and try and left click her because the Widowmaker just like hook shots away and then the Diva can't kill her. So you just have the Genji and the Diva go after her, and she's just free kill. So now it's a 5v6. Kongdoo Panthera at this point, they basically need to accept the fact they're just not going to win. Like, they're just not going to win this fight. So they need to just be looking to do damage, you know, at least try and fight. Maybe you got a kill or two, right? But basically just get a little bit of ultimate charge from this. They're not winning, right? So we see people kind of migrating over towards the side and jumping off. Void's tanky, so he can fly away. But that's basically all you can ask out of that. So now, you go, alright. Widowmaker didn't work. Birdring also goes to Tracer, just like Eska did. And now they're still attacking with a 2-2-2. So now they're fighting with relatively similar comps. Obviously, Lunatic-Hai has a little bit more like long-range damage with Ryujihong and Eska versus Luffy and Birdring, just because projectile at long range is a little bit iffier and Tracer's just not long range. But Kongdoo Panthera, if they get their ultimates, is going to brawl a little better because Transcendence does that, as well as Pulse Bomb in a brawl. You know, when people are compacted, you're very likely to get a stick, so you can generally get a pick. So now, when they're doing this and they're trading high ground damage, this is actually where the soldier is, like, pretty happy, to be fair. You know, Tracer's not really doing anything here. Tracer needs to get around and fight them, or get onto point and contest these two tanks. So the question is, when are we going to see Zunba and Miro contest this high ground, or are they going to wait till their backline gets dove and help them? Looks like Miro's just going to get up here and kind of annoy people. Oh, Eska's actually on the low ground now. He was on the high ground. I'm not sure why he jumped down. Turns into a brawl. Who are you is given Nano Blade. So it's actually also a really important thing that he gets specifically a nano boosted Dragon Blade, because while Transcendence is running, regular Dragon Blade doesn't really get kills because you just heal people through it. So you need that nano boost. Go surprise, no big surprise. Ryujihong gets dove, you know, hits the sleep dart. it's insane. He's so good. So now if you're Kongdoo Panthera, you go, okay, we used one ultimate for that fight. We didn't win, that's fine, but we did only use the one ultimate. So now it's our turn. We have a bunch of ultimates, and Lunatic-Hai is going to have 4, but I mean, Self-Destruct isn't really that good. It's a zoning tool. This isn't overtime yet, so zoning tools aren't super powerful. The argument, though, is that Void's is actually more powerful than Zunba's right now, because Void can, like, throw his onto the high ground here and, like, force Ryujihong and Eska off the high ground. But Zunba is basically only going to use his if he gets his mech popped. Lunatic-Hai, though, if they do start losing the point, they have 3 really strong stall ults. They can make everyone tankier. You know, Miro can stall with Primal Rage, and then Self-Destruct to stall with is pretty decent. 2 offensive ults from Kongdoo Panthera looks good for them. But he doesn't get the stick, Birdring, unfortunately. If he did, that would have been really good. And Rascal comes in for the kill. But what happens is we see immediately Biotic grenaded. So he can't be healed. He's 80 health now. And Toby drops Sound Barrier. And what we saw actually earlier, right here, is that Miro and Zunba are actually fighting up in the choke point right now. Yeah, they can still be healed by Ryujihong, so that's fine. They're not really in threat of dying. But when we watch the health bars here and we see Toby drop the Sound Barrier, we see Who Are You doesn't get it. Neither of the tanks get the Sound Barrier. Or does Miro? No, he doesn't. So Toby literally drops his Sound Barrier basically to keep Ryujihong alive, because it's just him and Ryujihong up here. Eska's down on the low ground. Like, he still gets the Sound Barrier, but Toby's dropping it just to keep Ryujihong alive. That does show some of the priorities that Lunatic-Hai has, right? I mean, yeah, it counters Dragon Blade as well, but it's just them who are under threat. So, but Rascal does get killed because he has Dragon Blade out. He's not reflecting, and, you know, when you're at 80 health, you've been Biotic grenaded, and a soldier shooting at you, attack visor, you're pretty dead. So he gets picked off, and then because the enemy Kongdoo Panthera was so busy dealing with Miro and Zunba, Eska can, like, literally run into their backline and just do that and kind of clean up. And this is one of the things that I think I don't think Eska is as good at, like, crazy aggressive positioning and like getting all this insane damage like somebody like AKM is, but I think he's really good at just working within the pressure that's given to him by, you know, Miro and Zumba and stuff, because other players on his team, you know, absorb so much pressure. And it's I think it's also how Zumba tends to work when he's playing Soldier, right? And then he has to hope that Eska's Tracer in those instances is absorbing attention. Miro actually goes down. Where was Ryujihong? Because why was Miro not being healed? He drops the bubble. I'm not sure where Ryujihong is right now. I think he's... Is he up there? I can't tell. Yeah, I think he was up there because I can see a shot go flying out. But regardless, he's actually not healed. So they lose a couple of their tanks. Waka Waka makes a mistake, gets picked off. And at this point, though, Lunatic-Hai only has like 30 seconds. So you fight this. You just do. Yeah, you throw down the Nano Blade because there's no reason to not try and fight this. Because if you can hold them here, you just win. And from the high ground, Eska is able to get kills. You know, Who Are You does some damage because he's Who Are You on Genji. Poor D.Va. I would have... Are they still contesting the point? I think I would have stalled that D.Va death a little bit. Maybe not by much. Actually, no, that's not... I would... No, you don't. Because they are right here still. And now it's just a few seconds. Birdring goes just to try and get on the point. Man, Miro's really not getting healed a lot. He has to pop Primal Rage. Rascal... Oh, nice. So, I actually like this. We see Who Are You? There's like this here, and he knows he's not going to get any kills in the Transcendence. So he comes, bam, he goes up for Rascal up here. Knocks Rascal off the high ground. Man, why are people always dying to self-destruct? I hate that. Eska backs off, maybe a little far. But he backs off. Who Are You is just killing people, though. Who Are You is just going nuts, getting kills. And Miro's back. Yeah, so... Successful hold from Lunatic-Hai. Kongdoo Panthera kind of fell into the same trap that Lunatic-Hai did, where they only changed their comp once. They changed the Widowmaker out initially, and then after that, they just kept attacking with the same thing over and over and over and over again. And when you just keep doing that, it's... I can't remember who said that quote, but it's like stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And I feel like so many Overwatch teams right now, including these teams, which these are two of the best teams in the world right now, just keep doing that. They just come back with the same thing over and over. I'm not sure if it's they get so caught up in the moment, maybe they're not thinking about it, which is definitely possible. But you have to think, okay, what could we do against this comp from Lunatic-Hai? I think you have to keep the D.Va, because you can throw the D.Va at like Ryujihong and Eska on the high ground. But, you know, you have Birdring and like Rascal. They're pretty good DPS players. Maybe you play McCree, right? Maybe you play McCree and you try and deal with, you know, the dive from Who Are You, you know, and Miro with Flashbang, right? Maybe you even, like, go so far to, you know, run triple tank and go Zarya, right? And just provide this extra wall of beef for the dive to try and cut through. And maybe you protect that McCree really well, right? And let him, and just kind of put faith in him to kill the Tracer and Genji, right? With flashbangs and headshots. It's possible. I'm not saying it would work 100%, right? But try something, change something up. Because Kongdoo Panthera, they tried a couple different routes of attacking, but it really wasn't successful. They were mostly coming just through the front door, you know, with the same comp. Lunatic-Hai got lucky, I think, when they're attacking the second point, because in that last fight, there were some positioning errors from Panthera, and they got picked off by, like, a Pulse Bomb and Who Are You getting a pick. So, but Kongdoo Panthera ends up losing the point here. And Lunatic-Hai, off of this win, then turned around the series, and they ended up reverse sweeping the series. But in the end, it was a pretty... I like this map a lot. I think there were a lot of good talking points from it.